Fresh meat.
There's always a debate this time of year on what is and isn't a holiday movie. The truth is that it's all subjective. Anything can be a holiday movie if you personally want it to be. For me, it's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles and White Christmas around Thanksgiving, Gremlins, Die Hard, and It's a Wonderful Life for Christmas. That's me though. While the bulk of the argument is around what is and isn't a holiday movie, there's a stupid amount of actual Christmas-themed horror films. One of the most talked about, both good and bad, is 1984's Silent Night, Deadly Night, which you can hear Tyler discuss on our Real Slasher show. Silent Night, Deadly Night is infamous for what parents accuse it of doing to the most sacred of sacred holidays. A remorseless killer dressed as Santa Claus taking out people on the naughty list with reckless abandon after witnessing his parents killed by a different killer dressed as Santa, and the movie is just full to the brim of gore, nudity, and language. The movie wasn't the first Psycho St. Nick as both Christmas Evil in 1980 and the first segment of the great Amicus anthology Tales from the Crypt both had jolly old bad guys that didn't get nearly the hate. The movie was even pulled after protests from parents, but later found cult status on video. You'd think a movie with that much drama would end there, but boy did this franchise have legs. Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 is part clip show recap of the first one, and part unintentional comedy gold, with the forever in our heart line reading of Garbage Day! Along with some of the most intense overacting this side of the room. Somehow, miraculously, even after the second film, the franchise would have 3 additional sequels and eventually get the remake treatment in 2012 with another remake scheduled for the near future. 3 is a wrap-up for the Billy Ricky trilogy of films, but is ultimately a little slow. Please, if you're watching Bill Moseley, please don't hate me. 5 is a bizarro tale with Mickey Rooney as an evil old toy maker, with puppet master-like murder toys that Rooney would eventually disown for the remainder of his life. And the remake is fine, but kinda mean. All these are worth watching for different reasons, but the one I find most interesting is the 4th entry. I want to thank you guys for watching The Black Sheep, and ask if you enjoy our shows, please subscribe to our channel right now. Like this video and click the bell so you can get notified each time a new video goes up. And now, back to the show. Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, Initiation, is an oddball that stayed with me more than the others did after marathoning the entire series last holiday season. First and foremost, I've watched this movie twice now, and I can't find any real relation to the first 3 films, other than Clint Howard's character watching the 3rd film on a TV at some point. So, Christmas horror inception, I guess. No killer Santas, no family drama, and while it certainly takes place during Christmas, it's missing that Yuletide kill scenes and holiday puns that the other ones have. It's even titled Bugs in the UK. Think of this as something akin to the Hellraiser sequel I discussed before. They had a property that was completely separate, but decided they could shoehorn Pinhead in to maybe make a few extra sales. Brian Usna, more on him in a bit, had a property that may have been able to sell a little bit better with the Silent Night, Deadly Night tag. At least the next sequel would have an evil toy maker around Christmas time. The movie opens with a homeless guy played by the irreplaceable Clint Howard finding sustenance in the form of a half-eaten cheeseburger on the ground. Excuse me, not a cheeseburger, as he lets us know.
Oh, no fucking cheese.
Clint Howard's a gem. He's in more horror movies, good, bad, and middle of the road, than anyone I can think of, and really gives his all in everything he does. Check him out in the Evil Speak episode of The Last Drive-In. A gem, I say. He sees a woman on the roof whose lower half catches fire before she plummets to the ground. A very Usna Hitchcockian credits roll. Really, you get Reanimator or Vertigo vibes. And in addition to the cast we see, there will be effects by the legendary Screaming Mad George, and a score by horror movie mogul Charles Band's brother, Richard. When you see that kind of combination of names, you know you are in for a treat. The movie starts in earnest with a couple getting it on to the news. Hey, to each their own. When the girl Kim notices the main story from the girl earlier. Her and the guy, Hank, walk back to work and attempt to keep their fling a secret. They work for a paper called the LAI, who is run by Reggie effing Bannister. Between him and Clint Howard, you have a hell of a B-actor dream cast. Kim wants to be lead on the story, but Eli and the rest of the boys club decide she should stay in her lane. Kim decides to go investigate on her own and checks in with some of the locals near the scene. She speaks to a local butcher, but gets nowhere, and ends up in a bookstore on the ground floor of the building in question. Clint Howard, here playing Ricky, though it's never clear if he's the same Ricky, stalks her before the owner, a woman named Fema, kicks him out. Kim is looking for a book on spontaneous combustion, and I guess the Tobe Hooper film wasn't available. In addition to the book, Fema gives her a free book on witchcraft and spiritualism, and gives her dates that look like the ones that killed the monkey in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Since she's already there, Kim heads to the roof and tries to get into the victim's head by standing where she was when she fell. Ricky gets hungry and pulls a grub out of a vent that would feed Timon and Pumbaa for weeks. This is the start of what you are in for Screaming Mad George. Sure, the bugs coming up are just okay, but nearly every other gross thing is creepy and cool. the movie wouldn't be half as good without them. Kim heads home to a pretty severe bug problem, and decides to take Hank up on his offer to have dinner at his family's house. There she meets the father who makes sexist and prejudiced remarks before presumably heading off to a society meeting.
I think a woman's place is in the home, raising a family.
Seriously, I'll never look at that actor the same again. Kim leaves after having a fight with Hank, and dropping a Scorsese level of F-bombs, and heads home to read the Goddess book.
Well, fuck my attitude and fuck the job and fuck you!
She gets sick and fights off a big bug before passing out. The next day, she goes to the park to meet up with Fima and her friends. Either Kim is way too trusting, or she just isn't cut out to be an investigative journalist, because these ladies are terrible at being subtle, and the book has direct references to how the woman died the other night. Back at the office, Eli has decided to give Kim the story with the help of Hank and office friend Janice. Not much comes from the crime scene other than the couple making up, but Kim is drawn to Fima's house when they share tea that Fima definitely loads with something a little extra. Kim passes out and opens her eyes to a ceremony where she is the main centerpiece. It's a hallucinatory and freaky sequence where the Coven and Ricky put on one of the slug creatures inside of her, while yet another finds its way out. They take the one that she spits up and cut it to rub it all over. It's an uncomfortable scene, even if it's really not explained very well. Kim wakes up wondering if it was a dream when the Coven won't let her leave. Fima wants her daughter back, and it all comes into light. The woman who burned and fell in the beginning was her own daughter who wasn't strong enough to go through with the ceremony. Again, why was there a ceremony? What was its purpose? Something to do with immortality and losing all of your fear, but it's just not explained at all and is really one of the weak links of the film. Kim runs back to find Hank where she is taken over by lust, and creepy Ricky just waltzes in to, well, not watch them actually. He's watching something that we'll probably eventually cover on this channel. Ricky and Hank fight, with Ricky gaining the upper hand and gruesomely dispatching him. You can tell the budget was running out here, but I actually like what they did, with us seeing from Kim's point of view, Hank losing quite a bit of blood. Ricky tries to get Kim to follow him when Jackie walks in and, well, she's in on it too. Sure, it's a little cliche, and yes, there's no explanation to why she's never with any of the other witches, but it creates dread for Kim and us as she is utterly alone now. Kim, almost now completely given up, goes with Ricky back to the Coven, and we are treated, yeah, I'll go with treated, to the Clint Howard Coven sex scene, and he's wearing a mask that creates an image that will haunt me every time I close my eyes. Kim wakes up alone and begins to transform into what I would liken to a creature from Todd Browning's Freaks if reimagined by Screaming Mad George. It's gooey, gross, and you can't take your eyes off it. The butcher opens the door to find Kim. See, I mean everyone is in on it, and Kim sheds her mermaid cocoon before heading home. Still wondering if it was just a bad trip brought on by bad dates and bad tea, Fima appears on the TV with a warning that if she doesn't bring the Coven a sacrifice, there will be consequences. The initiation is over, but the ceremony is incomplete. Kim refuses and begins to spontaneously combust in the lower half before hopping in the shower to stop it and agreeing to bring the sacrifice, specifically Hank's younger brother. Kim and Ricky arrive at the house and trick Lonnie to get in the van before Ricky decides to kill the father in the only Christmas-themed death. Strangled by Christmas lights and captured on his new video camera present. Hard to feel bad for the guy, especially after his earlier remarks. Lonnie is laid down for the sacrifice, but at the last minute, Kim refuses and stabs Fima instead. Like the big bad witch she is, though, she pulls the dagger out of her side and goes after Kim. Ricky inexplicably steps in the way and pays the price before getting insult on top of injury when he becomes slug-a-pillar food. Clint Howard, down for absolutely everything. Definition of a damn professional. The movie only has 5 minutes left, so Kim kills Fima with the last of the special effects budget left over from society, and the rest of the Coven just stand there, looking at Kim like she ate the last donut. The film ends, and I'll give it credit here. No jump scares or stingers at the end. It told its overly convoluted story and is done. Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, Initiation, aka Bugs, sits in a weird place in horror and its own series history. It's the very definition of a forgotten film, and didn't get a DVD release until it was put on a disc with 3 and 5 in the 2010s. It has a lot going for it, with horror staples of gore and nudity, a good score from Richard Band, and the great special effects that were mentioned multiple times. It doesn't really work as a Silent Night sequel, but it fits snugly in both the holiday horror catalog, certainly more entertaining than most of the straight-to-video stuff you can find nowadays, and it's a great part of the Usna catalog of films. If you haven't seen it, or it's just been a while, and you're looking for something besides Black Christmases or the Gremlins of the world, you could do far worse than Initiation.
Well, fuck my attitude and fuck the job and fuck you!